breaker scenarios in which they could make it.
Well, let us know at home what you think. Who is going to be moving forward? Is it going to be Team Liquid or is it going to be Expert? Let's go ahead and get this party started. Game number 1. Which battleground are we going to? It's going to be Dragonshire. Team Liquid with the pick, which means first pick will be going over to Expert.
Yeah, first pick on the side of Expert as Team Liquid picks the map. And again, we're looking, I would say, at a map that it requires the most coordination out of the teams. But it hasn't really been played excessively in HGC Europe. So it might already be Team Liquid just saying, hey, we have something prepared here. I'm super hyped for this because I believe that there's a lot of teams that just have certain strategies prepared right now that they're trying to execute, where they try to show something maybe a little bit new, just that one niche pick on the last position maybe that can change things up. And with teams as Expert, the mad scientist, ADRD, he's known for it. And then you have Team Liquid, they love to play their Abathur, they love to play their Vikings.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to see that today, or they go and fall back on simply aggressive teamfight drafts. All of it is possible now, and we're starting with the first map to find out which way the teams lean.
A lot of variety available on this battleground. Dragonshire, let's go ahead and get it here as we're moving on in. Expert will be getting the first ban of the game. In the past, we've been seeing a lot of decent Tassadar bans from them, but will they have certain choices to get rid of from Team Liquid? Remember, both these teams, if need be, can and will play Medivh. Expert a little bit more so, but Team Liquid can do it themselves.
It's definitely a really good point. I mean, Medivh, for both of them, is a tool that they have in their arsenal. First of all, Genji gets banned again. And we have the same ban pattern that we have seen in the previous series. Genji taken out, and so is Uther. So now that we're heading into our first pick, let's see what the experts start with.
Team Expert, what will you be moving into? They've been favoring a lot of Ariel in the past, but we've seen Ariel starting to fall off slightly for a lot of our teams. We're getting better isolation, better hooks, better engages to make it harder for Ariel to have the sustained fights. And Tassadar is going to be the other support instead picked up.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if I'm happy about the priority that Tassadar gets right now. I still remember the times when he was the constant first banning every single game. Without exception. It seems more and more as if he is pushing back into that spot. He has been a first pick for Dignitas in the previous series on 2 of the maps. Now he's a first pick again for the experts. So the double support is strong, but Tassadar offers so much utility on top of him shielding the allies that he is a great weapon to have, and he's just bouncing back.
You remember those 3 weeks where we didn't have Tassadar in the meta, where he completely got deleted?
Did that exist?
It did, for
that
3 weeks.
Break that we
little
had,
break,
that
yeah,
there?
it happened.
Okay.
It wasn't a dream.
Yeah.
You weren't sleeping, Kaldor.
All right.
Tassadar back here as he'll be the first pick. Team Liquid answers back with the Ariel and the Anubarak. So there's the Ariel we were mentioning. Team Liquid has also been favoring Ariel in the last couple weeks and seems like still here for the priority. And Anubarak, there you go. Blumby going to be able to get those engages.
And again, we have currently the Stukov patch being played here without Stukov available for the teams yet. But it includes the changes to Anubarak. So the teams still value him, as we have seen in both series today. Not necessarily to the same priority, but at least for Team Liquid, he is still very high up. They pick him in the first rotation together with Oriel, so we could also see them head into a double support here, trying to just get maybe Lunara in, play with Avala here. We have seen Gul'dan paired with Oriel fairly often, so all of that works out for them. But the experts, this is their double pick. First game, everything is on the line now.
See what they're going to move into. Team Expert usually picks up their hyper carry, their damage around this area. They'll leave their top layer alone, can float in that later. They went ahead and moved into Haka and Tracer, so we do have that mix-up between Nick and, of course, Tassadar.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of cavalry today.
A lot of cavalry, man. A lot of horses running around here.
Yeah.
Tracer.
Must be Bad Benny.
Yeah.
He must be that horse camp. He just brought them with him.
He inspired all of Europe as of last week. They're like, what's the best thing we can do here? Well, we'll get Tracer in the mix.
The horse camp meme. It's just too good.
One day it'll die, but until then, we're going to push it as much as we can here.
Why go to the boot camp when you can go to horse camp?
That's right.
So
Team Liquid, what do you get rid of here if you want to move into the ban? You have the possibility to get rid of a support. You already have the support that you want, but also you can take away a front line that you think would be strong.
if they could just ban out a support here and pick a second support for themselves, they would all of a sudden increase the pressure on Tassadar for sure. But it's also a bit of a gamble, and there's still heroes around that can fill that role. We're not really at that phase in Heroes of the Storm anymore, where you have only a very limited amount of supports and you can just simply choke out someone. So that's really rough to do because you give up your second ban for it, and they're not willing to do that. Instead, they target the top lane. We have seen Expert leaning towards Malthael a little bit more, and he is fantastic on that spot. But then again, there's already a Dehaka in, so if a Malthael would be taken, experts would mostly put him into the rotation. So I'm not really sure if he poses that threat that Team Liquid perceives, but they were apparently really afraid of him, so they get rid of him even though there is already a Dehaka for the top lane on the side of the expert.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Do they think they have something that Malthael can just break down really quickly and store here?
I'm not so sure, because the thing is, Malthael as a ban is great.
Sure.
The problem is, if the experts would have picked up Malthael, it also means that they are running Dehaka solo. As a solo tank.
Yeah.
Because you have Malthael, Dehaka, and then you still need another healer. So I'm not really sure if that ban was necessary, but it's Team Expert, and maybe Liquid knows something we don't.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking here. It was like the only reason why you would ban Malthael if the top lane is already picked up is if you wanted to go Cho'Gall. But again, there's always that Greymane, there's the Orc you can ban out too. Malthael didn't seem like a straight go-to, and Team Expert decides, okay, well, the only thing we can think of is Cho'Gall as well, so they go ahead and just take it away from Team Liquid.
Yeah. I mean, it's we have a Cho'Gall ban
against Team Liquid.
Not against Team Expert, against Team Liquid. When normally it's really Expert that you would expect to use the Cho'Gall here. I mean, they are the team that traditionally picked him. Don't get me wrong, we had Team Liquid also like way back with the Cho'Gall pick or two, and a few teams were dabbling in it, but the one team that was most known for this is Expert. So the roles are a little bit reversed. But right now, Liquid, they go into their picks immediately, so they have Cassia and they have Zarya taken.
So they are protect the Cassia comp here. You have the Ariel, you have Zarya dropped down in the shields. I haven't seen Zarya in a while, but Team Liquid used to run her very much in Phase 1, and now we have her back here in Phase 2 here for Team Liquid. So they can control that middle lane, that bottom lane, continue to rotate in, and force really hard fights for Team Expert to deal with that. Charge strikes at level 1 can handle the Tracer Tassadar pressure pretty well.
The Zarya also in here. It's really interesting what Team Liquid is drafting. Very different from what we usually see. So they have their own approach to this for now. And the question is just how the experts are going to deal with it. Because right now you have the Zarya shields, you have Oriel, Cassia, you talked about her already, the impact that she can have breaking through the level 1 with the splash. But there's the Rega for the second support, and we have Stitches for hooks. So the Haka at the top lane, Ethereal is going to run it. And Liquid runs it with the Vikings. They have them. Vikings are being played, so a strong format, very strong format for Team Liquid. And the Vikings are going to try and enable that format by soaking the remaining lanes. And right now, I wouldn't really be surprised to see something very traditional European coming out, trying to proxy the waves at the top lane. We've been talking about this in the past with the Vikings and increasing the pressure on the solo laner.
Yeah, could see that happen, and there is an answer there for Tracer to come up and kill those Vikings off, but suddenly Cassie on that bottom lane can break down turrets. There's no major threat if Tracer's going up there and clearing that up, so could happen here. Hasselhoff's pulling out the Vikings.
And just in case that you're a bit newer to the Vikings dynamic in Heroes of the Storm, so something that has been done in the past on this map in Europe is that when you're trying to soak two lanes to empower your foreman, what the Vikings sometimes do is you split Balog off and you run past your opponent's fort at the top lane, basically towards the bridge, and you proxy the wave. So once the wave of minion moves in, you keep one Vikings in close to the shrine, and Balog basically tries to take the wave down, which he easily can do. That forces the top laner to either go back and deal with a threat, and if he doesn't do that, then the Vikings soak the experience by taking the wave down, but you have no minions pushing in. So all of a sudden, the top laner for the opponent's team has to either try and get the shrine, or he loses out on all the experience. So you're in a really, really awkward spot where normally the team that plays against the Vikings has to rotate a second hero over. And you don't really want to do that when there's a strong foreman on your opponent's side. So it doesn't have to be the playstyle here, but that's definitely a threat that exists now.
We'll see if that will come out here from Hasselhoff. This is also the traditional way of playing the Vikings. You get split in between the middle and the top lane, put a strong 4-man in the bottom, and then use a Viking to actually grab the Dragon when you control the entire battleground. Let's go ahead and start here for Dragonshire. Team Liquid facing off against Expert, and we got the Vikings. They're going to be facing off against Expert.
Game number 1. Dragonshire is the map as we are heading into our first game between Team Liquid and Team Expert. Blumby on the front line with Stitches, Hazorps on the Vikings, of course, Blumby on the Nubarak, Darkmok on Cassia, we have Nurok on Zarya, and then of course, last but not least, Splendor is going to play Oriel.
On the right side, Team Expert in the red. They're going to have Bad Benny playing Stitches, a thorough on Dahaka. Kurson will be playing Rhaegar, ADRD on Tassadar, and Nick on Tracer. And look over at Team Liquid. You see a bit of a mix-up here as Cassia will be played by Darkmok, and we're going to have Zarya being played by Nurak. Wanted to point out that there is actually a bit of potential role swaps that Team Liquid has been talking about. Hasselhoff was talking to me about it in the interviews. They think that they want to give Nurak a better chance for shot calling. So they want to put him on some melees, except for maybe Illidan. And here they're doing it with the Zarya. Darkmok going to allow for them to get a little bit more aggressive and allow Nurak to have better shot calling.
So both of them right now are still focusing on taking down a few of the structures here. So it's basically an exchange, opening up the map a bit. That will also allow Tracer to chase the Vikings even harder. So it's super important here for them. But the soak in experience is still going to be superior for Team Liquid, simply because they have the Vikings on the lanes. And they already have to back off here. So that's something where the Expert needs to be extremely careful. Team Expert now with the Haka up at the top lane. And we're seeing them still with 3-man in the middle starting to pressure. But in the long run, Liquid is going to win out on it. This is why we're seeing the rotation now from Team Expert.
Yep, coming in from the side here. Maybe they can get someone low on health. Blumby will be able to leave with a burrow charge. I like how the 3 squishies went around on the bottom side and allowed Blumby to be the one to take the brunt of the force, because he can get away from the escape. So nice job there from Team Liquid of holding that pressure coming their way. Now they grab the dragon on the bottom, and a Thorough will be doing his best to control the top.
Yeah, Hazorps is definitely the one that is going to try and just annoy him. And you can already tell, he's just rotating one of his Vikings onto the shrine and the second one on the wave. And the Haka will just have to move between the two the entire time. And if he tries to reclaim the shrine, it also means that he cannot take the wave down. So eventually he's going to lose out on the lane if Hazorps plays it well. And his Viking control is something that he is absolutely known for.
That he is, and then gets harder at level 4 too, and you get the running from Eric as he gets swift and is able to heal on up. That'll be even more difficult for a Thorough to handle. Luckily he has the Haka, so if he's able to fight around the bushes, maybe he can get a pick on one of those Vikings, which is always pivotal. It helps him clear out. So looking in the middle lane, so far in terms of progress, Team Expert has gotten the fort low on health, but Team Liquid has already killed the fort in the bottom right, which will allow for them to rotate in, start working on giant pressure, and maybe put pressure on that middle lane too to get more experience.
Yeah, so right now up to the top, you're still getting the Vikings with the experience. The 4-man is a really crucial part with this. You need to win that. And currently what we're also seeing for Hazorps is he doesn't go into a Balog build, so he's not proxying the waves. He instead plays around Bribe. Nice invade here though, and it's a 4 versus 3. You can't win this one. Or can you? Blumby is low, but Tracer is already down. They were willing to fight it, but they might even lose Kurson. He barely escapes. The hook connects though, but Darkmo is immediately being shielded. So Expert trying to fight for the camp. Starts to lose out. They already lost the fort at the bot, but of course it was an even trade with Expert claiming the one in the middle. But you can tell that in experience, Liquid is starting to get the lead and really enjoying the Viking value.
It's going to be so hard to get that Cassia killed there with Zarya shields coming out. Nurak already at full energy. They can continue to rotate those shields underneath the turret to keep that energy up. You have Ariel with the heals coming in as long as Darkmonk is aggressive. Team Expert will have to coordinate their stuns, the drag, the hooks into the Tracer damage to even get a kill on that Cassia if they can break through the shield. If not, they're going to get ran over, and that's already happening here on the bottom right side. Giants pushing in, Cassia leading the charge, and the Vikings holding still in the top.
Hazorps is doing a fantastic job making sure that his Vikings don't fall. And this pressure, I mean, this is crazy. We're talking 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and a keep is under pressure, and they need to react to it. They cannot just simply sit tight here. There's the Siege Giants still doing damage, and now they are starting to rotate heroes over, but we still have Tracer and Dehaka both at the top lane. So it's a 3 versus 4 down here, and they just simply keep those Siege Giants alive. And even with the shields from ADRD, look how low this keep is.
It's getting very low, and they're going to go ahead and fully commit to pushing in here. They're keeping up with the beetles on the side, keep clearing out the waves. In fact, they had the Giants at a point where they were taking damage from the minions. Darkmonk was even putting his blinds on the minion wave just to make sure that the damage was keeping those Giants from not falling for a longer time there. 8 to 7.5 here, keep still on low.
They're still pushing. They want the keep.
Yeah,
they could pushing. YOLO for this one. They wait for their own minion wave, and then they go in again, and they just poke and poke and poke and poke. Blumby soaks a few more shots. This is going to fall. The keep is going to fall. It's down. They have a level lead, and they took a keep down 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, and the keep has fallen. This is an insane advantage for Team Liquid in this game.
Incredible. And they're able to move to the middle now. Hasselhoff's even taking a pulse bomb here as Eric will get thrown across the map. And Team Expert working on a possibility moving towards 10, but they're a level behind. They have to keep dealing with Team Liquid. This 4-man, look at this 4-man. Look what it keeps doing. It's moving forward on the battleground, grabbing mercenary camps, keeping pressure on their opponents, helping the Vikings out.
Yeah, and the Vikings rotate. We see Olaf moving down to the bot lane, saying like, okay, boys, keeps down. And Team Liquid just says, you know what? We repeat the same thing on the next lane. So they move just on another lane. They are going to try and get maybe even a Dragonite. Highly unlikely that they're going to get this, especially since Expert, of course, anticipates the rotation, goes to the bot lane and reclaims one of the shrines. But the level 10 is going to hit soon for Team Liquid, and even with Olaf falling here, the level 10 ability will allow them to push even harder. Bribe being used, Tazops gets another camp, more pressure onto the bot lane. And now with the level 10 ability, they can barrel through top.
And that's the best part too. Typically you don't put a 4-man in the top lane because of those giants being able to be taken away, but with that Bribe being up here for the Vikings, they're able to contest those giants and not allow Expert to get that pressure on the bottom lane. So good movement here by Team Liquid, and great pickup on that Bribe to grab the giants. This 4-man continues to keep moving in the top lane. In fact, the moment 10 is hit, Blumby turns around, drops Cocoon here, and they're looking for a fight.
Stuns are important. They need to blow him up. And they don't get the stun after the Cocoon drops. Stitches is here. The Haka is still at the bot lane. He can, of course, move in. And the 10 has been hit for Expert. And immediately the Putrid Bile is being used. Team Liquid is in an awkward spot as they are all of a sudden finding themselves in a 4 versus 5. They're trying to fight here, but it does not look as if they can make this happen. Splendor, on the other hand, is still alive. Oh, about to fall. Saves himself, and what the hell? They're actually about to win the battle.
I can't believe they're actually even there. The hope there.
Okay,
finally,
there we go.
Zarya's going to fall, and this is where it should start to fall for them. And yes, it does. Expert gets the fight. The Archon in particular was killing it.
But the Dragonite has been grabbed in the meantime by the Vikings. So we're seeing the Dragonite now in the mid lane. 2 heroes have fallen for Team Liquid, but Hazobs has been busy, has taken the DK, and now they're just taking the structures down once again. And in the meantime, we're seeing Balog towards the bot lane, pushing the lanes in towards the core. So the fight was lost because Team Liquid was a little bit, I don't even want to call it greedy, going for Tassadar here. If they connect the first stun, he's dead. But they were just hoping that they could kill him. AD already moved out, and then it was a 5 versus 4 that they didn't want to fight. But they still come out ahead, thanks to the Viking that grabbed the Dragonite.
But Team Expert does fight back here, and they're able to get some experience, and they're closer to the opponents. But you're right, Team Liquid is in a nice lead. I like how that fight was also broken down because of Bad Benny. Bad Benny came in with that Putrid Bile. He got behind their opponent's team, which forced Team Liquid to group as a unit as 4 for that hope, which allowed for the Pulse Bomb to come in and the Archon to make sure to get that splash damage wherever they could. And eventually they did break through. But it's just a point of how strong, a testament at least, to how strong this 4-man is, that they were grouped that heavily and they still almost walked away with the fight.
So at this point, we have the top lane being the main goal for them. The problem is that Team Liquid has is, first of all, they have now level 13. That's not a problem. That's actually a great advantage for them.
That's a major issue. How dare they level up?
The issue is if they commit to the top lane, they have to go over the bridge. And that might become a massive issue once they are fighting themselves in a fight here. Especially with Putrid Bile, with the storms on Tassadar. I mean, there's no force wall to actually trap them on the bridge. We have the extra damage for AD already by him committing to Archon. But overall, it's not really where you want to push. So having the pressure on the bot lane is already important. But Liquid has also to, at some point, focus on a lane and try to get the second key. Because as far ahead as they are, this is still a scenario in which Team Expert can come back in this. Team Liquid is not anywhere near winning this game yet.
Yeah, I would say Cassie is one of those early game heroes that you can build around with the Ariel and the Zarya and just make sure to defend them, and then you can break down force and such. But actually going for a core rush or breaking down keeps by themselves becomes a little bit difficult as you get to the mid game, especially with Team Expert getting on these important moments. The Haka stun, Stitches coming out with the Putrid Bile after hitting level 10. They do have the possibility to focus down their target, but Team Liquid will be looking for moments to break that. And one of the ways they can do it is through the Dragon, or of course, maybe even going for an evade. In fact, they are doing so on Blumby. Coming in here on the right, Bad Benny gets knocked away, and they take away the Knights.
Yeah, steal the Knights away, and this is in this case all that they wanted to do. They commit the Cocoon, but they're actually not committing anything else. So they're not trying to go all in on that Cocoon and try to drop the target. But I like this so far, what we're seeing here. This is, at this point, definitely a really solid scenario for Liquid. Now brushing the top lane, getting the towers down. And once they have broken through those, the Vikings later on can do so much work here, especially when we're heading into level 20. If they go for the Fury of the Storm, for example, the wave clear that you get on them is crazy, and then you just have to play around the Haka.
Thurl's looking for a kill on Hasub. Hasubs will be able to get away, but they still continue to control that shrine on the bottom. Tracer's getting to a point where she's starting to peel off and look for other avenues of way for them to get an advantage. Team Expert is working on breaking some damage on the left side, even grabbing maybe the Knights on the bottom just to get that fort broken down, but they noticed that Hasubs was using Bribe, trying to grab the Giants, they invade and take them away.
Nice. That was a really cool call from Team Expert. That was very, very smart and well done. So they get the camp was important for them as well, just to relieve some of the pressure. But they still have to deal with the top lane, where the Knight camp is pressuring in, where the Vikings are there. AD already moved over. But that also means that they are now currently committing a hero to just deep push against the Vikings, and they can't afford this for long. They have to get everyone on the same page again to take these fights. And Nurok already being dragged here. Tassadar is just now about to join in, but there is still an attempt to go for the Dragon Knight, but they don't hold that temple down here. So they don't hold the shrine. The top lane pressuring heavily. Cocoon being used. They're saving everyone for now, but Dartmok is low and might fall. The shields come in, and he is able to survive. Aethero, on the other hand, might still die. Gets the shield from Tassadar. AD himself, though, drops. And we have Viking power down here with a level 16, and it's just that stun on Olaf once again that does the work.
Absolutely incredible there from Team Liquid, keeping Darkmok alive. He was on a sliver of health, the hope coming out, and of course the shields from Nurok helping just in time. And now they go around and they move in.
They're trying to end. They're going bot lane. They're actually trying to end the game now. 11 minutes in, really? Okay, so we have at the top lane, the camp still doing work, and they are going for the core. They have the 16 advantage. They have an early Dragon Knight. Doesn't scale that hard into the 11-minute mark, but they want to end it right here. Instead of going for a second keep, they try to finish it off, and if they get a kill, that's a 100% game. Dehaka is down already. Stitches has also fallen. This is perfect for Team Liquid. They go for the core, and it looks like Expert has nothing to stop them.
They don't have anything. I mean, they have 2 supports, but that's not going to do anything. The core continues to fall. Underneath 5%, now 0, and Team Liquid comes out and gets the first victory in game number 1. And they seem like they were definitely prepared, man. That's a strategy that they came out and they executed well.
Yeah. Dinos is not liking that.
Yeah.
At all.
You just have Baker just throwing popcorn on the floor. He's just upset, man. He's completely throwing a fit. Yeah, Team Liquid, man. Jeez, it looks like they want to go to the Western Clash too. He's looking at his numbers. He's like, oh, crud. We're going to have to do some explaining.
We're moving farther and farther into the direction where we can have the 3-way tie.
I mean,
when I looked at the scenarios for today, the 3-way tie was actually one where I said, nah.
Yeah.
There's no way. That everything aligns with how the last few weeks went. No, that's not going to happen. But, well, it could. We're getting closer and closer to it. So right now, Liquid is taking a first step to keep their dream alive of making it to the Western Clash. And that was, I would say, very well thought out.
Yeah.
Very dominant in the draft. Then again, the Vikings were, of course, one of the crucial points here. So it just seemed that the experts didn't have an answer. They didn't find anything that they said, okay, this is going to work against them. They were trying to push at the beginning, trying to open the map up. Tracer can then chase the Vikings a little bit more. But the problem for them was always the foreman was so strong for Team Liquid that they could never trade anything there. And HazOps made very, very few mistakes on the Vikings, if any. He lost, I think, 2 or 3, but overall, there was impeccable play by him. Yeah,
that was a strategy that just seemed to really work out for Team Liquid, and they were prepared for it. Having the 4-man rotation, just really great keeping it up there. Also, it's very difficult to break down a Cassia without a mage being available that can go in. Tracer, while with the Pulse Bomb, can be mage-esque. Isn't enough to kill off that Cassia. There were moments where they got her very, very low, but with the Zarya shields and, of course, Arya Hope coming in, it was just enough for Team Liquid to move forward and get the victory. And let's go ahead and take a look at the players here that were really doing well in that matchup. Here it is, Hasselubs versus ADRD. Hasselubs on that Vikings, absolutely doing well. And it's actually very cool to look at his stats because he plays a wide variety of heroes.
Oh yeah, he definitely does. It surprises me a bit more, even though that we have the KDA of ADRD higher than HazOps, considering that Hazo oftentimes plays the big damage dealer, whereas ADRD is more so known to play the second support or play the specialist. Recently, he has shifted more towards Greymane and other heroes, so he is now oftentimes falling back on the damage dealers too. But traditionally, it would have been HazOps that I expected to have more of a kill impact when it comes to the actual team fights.
Medivh is a damage dealer when ADRD has him in his hands, so don't forget about that, man. This is inflated states. We've also seen him play a little bit Li Ming as of late, too.
Yeah, he definitely has branched out his hero pool quite a bit and is playing now a lot more damage dealers. He's way more flexible. We had 1 or 2 teams at the beginning of Phase 2 target him specifically with the bans and the picks, and I think after that he started to play more heroes in HGC. In practice, he was always a little bit more, he had more variety, but in HGC, he was focused on a few heroes where they said, okay, this fits perfectly in our composition. I think having Ethereal in the team then also changed up that drafting slightly.
Changed it up